And reading Bible verse of the day. I'm going to start with 15. I'm going to do three in a row. So far, we all know that Jesus is doing miracles, he's gaining followers, and he's gaining haters at the same time. So, also, he's about to give his life. So, I'm just going to start reading. And the first topic is called Jesus is like a vine. Jesus said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that does not produce fruit. He also trims every branch that produces fruit to prepare it to produce even more. You have already been prepared to produce more fruit by the teaching I have given you. Stay joined to me, and I will stay joined to you. No branch can produce fruit alone. It must stay connected to the vine. It is the same with you. You cannot produce fruit alone. You must stay joined to me. I am the vine, and you are the branches. If you stay joined to me and I to you, you will produce plenty of fruit. But separated from me, you won't be able to do anything. If you don't stay joined to me, you will be like a branch that has been thrown out and has dried up. All the dead branches like that are gathered up, thrown into the fire, and burned. Stay joined together with me and follow my teachings. If you do this, you can ask for anything you want and it will be given to you. Show that you are my followers by producing much fruit. This will bring honor to my Father. I have loved you as the Father has loved me. Now continue in my love. I have obeyed the Father's commands and he continues to love me. In the same way, if you obey my commands, I will continue to love you. I have told you these things so that you can have the true happiness that I have. I want you to be completely happy. This is what I command you. Love each other as I've loved you. The greatest love people can show is to die for their friends. You are my friends if you do what I tell you to do. I no longer call you servants because servants don't know what their master is doing, but now I call you friends because I have told you everything that my Father has told me. You did not choose me, I chose you, and I gave you this work to go and produce fruit, fruit that will last. Then the Father will give you anything you ask for in my name. This is my command to love each other. So the title of this was Jesus is like a vine. And Jesus always liked to compare himself or the kingdom of heaven to other things that we can understand as humans instead of always on a spiritual level that many of us are not on to understand or comprehend. So in this example, he's saying, I'm the vine. Imagine a grapevine and it's spread out all over and it keeps growing and growing and it keeps on just having all these branches on it. He's saying that I'm that root where the vine started from and all the branches on it are us, all the believers in him. And we're all joined together and we're producing fruit as long as we are connected to Jesus Christ and following, reading his word, living in the spirit, doing godly things, living to transform our lives into the image of Christ. As long as we do those things in some way, shape, or form, whether we know it or not, we are producing fruit. You could go along your whole life and think that you haven't, influenced anyone else, but as long as you're doing godly things, someone has to take notice of that, and they might be inspired to start living their life like that, whether you know it or not. So that's what Jesus said. It's very simple in the example. He's the vine and we're the branches. And as long as we're connected to that vine as branches, we'll always be able to produce fruit. But when we step away, if we're ever broken off, like you can imagine if you had a grape plant and all of a sudden the branch is broken off of it, you know good and well it's not going to be able to grow grapes because now it's attached from the actual root of the plant. So in the same way, Jesus is saying, stay connected to me because you will be able to produce fruit. But without me, you're just, you're dead. You're not able to do anything. Now, and he also said that God is like the gardener to him. If he's the vine, God's the gardener who cuts off every branch that does not produce fruit. If you're just attached to Jesus Christ and saying, oh yeah, I'm with Jesus Christ, and you don't live a godly life, you don't try to transform your life to look like God's life or to look like Jesus's idea of what life should be like, meaning all the good things, love, peace, forgiveness, kind, caring, sharing, those kind of things, taking care of other people. If you never do any of that stuff and you're still looking like your old self, where you only are selfish and doing for your own self and don't have any love for anybody but yourself, if that, then although you're saying, oh yeah, if somebody came up to you and said, who do you believe in? Who's your Lord and Savior? And you say, yeah, Jesus Christ, and your life's not reflecting it, Jesus says that God will come and cut you off himself. So he trims every branch that produces. Oh, and not only will he cut you off if you're not actually living a godly life or doing godly things, but you can also get cut off by if you he'll trim you, not cut off. He'll also trim you, meaning if you see a gardener, he trims sometimes the tree, or a lot of people know if you get your hair trimmed, it's just so it can be healthy. And in this example, Jesus says God will also trim every branch that produces fruit to prepare to produce even more fruit. So not only, for example, you're thinking you're going along, you're doing godly things, you're transforming your life to look like Christ, and then all of a sudden something bad comes in your life, or you're forced to cut out people out of your life. Well, Jesus says that, don't worry, it might be painful and hurt or whatever in the trimming, but it is done so that you can produce even more fruit in this world. And the fruit being influencing others to realize what the truth about life is and love is and about God. So, let's see. Stay joined to Jesus Christ. He's the vine. We're the branches. He calls us his friends. Because he tells us things of the kingdom of heaven. He tells us godly things. He could call us servants. I mentioned this a few videos ago. Christ could choose to call us servants and treat us like servants because, of course, he's a king. You're a king. You can have servants who do things for you. But instead of being that bossy type, oh, I'm your boss, I'm your servant, I'm your king, you're my servant, he turns us from slaves into friends because he shares the plans that him as a king and the high king, God, are talking about. And he comes and tells us about it so that we can be in on it too. He wouldn't just tell any regular servant what's the plan. But he does do that because he considers us friends, not his servants or slaves. Okay, and lastly, he says, you did not choose me. I chose you. He chose to die for us a long time ago. So it's up to us to realize we have been chosen to have our sins forgiven and to latch on to Jesus Christ and walk in that forgiveness and love that he has provided for us. And he's saying that, lastly, the most important things, he says, I chose you. You didn't choose me. And I gave you this work to go and produce fruit that will last. So that's his only request. I died for you, and all I ask you to do is just go out and be a good influence, a good example of how I live my life. Since I died for you, pick up my life that I was living in purity, honesty, love, kindness, caring, sharing, peace, forgiveness, all that. Pick that up, let that be your new identity, and let me live life out through you because I cut my life short for you. So in respect of him giving his life, give your life for him. And he says, this is his only command, to love each other. Okay, so the next subject was Jesus warns his followers. If the world hates you, remember that they hated me first. If you belong to the world would love you as it loves its own people. But I've chosen you to be different from those in the world. So you don't belong to the world, and that is why the world hates you. Remember the lesson I told you. Servants are not greater than their master. If people treated me badly, they will treat you badly too. And if they obeyed my teaching, they will obey yours too. They will do to you whatever they did to me because you belong to me. They don't know the one who sent me. If I had not come and spoken to the people of the world, they would not be guilty of sin. But now I have spoken to them, so they have no excuse for their sin. Whoever hates me also hates my Father. I did things among the people of the world that no one else has ever done or seen. If I had not done those things, they would not be guilty of sin. But they have seen what I have did, and still they hate me and my Father. But this happened to make clear the full meaning of what is written in their law, where it says, they hated me for no reason. I will send you the helper from the Father. The helper is the Spirit of truth who comes from the Father. When he comes, he will tell about me, and you will tell people about me too, because you have been with me from the beginning. So Jesus is saying that I came. The title of it was called Jesus Warns His Followers. He says, I've come into this world, and you see how I'm only trying to walk around, do good for people, do miracles, share, care, love, all that stuff, peace, kindness, all the fluffy, warm, and googly, gooey kind of love stuff he's expressing in the world, because that's the image that God had for this world. God had an image that we're all loving each other, no strife between each other, peace, love, kindness, we're sharing, caring. This is what Jesus walked out. And he's saying, I'm walking around just giving to people free miracles. You've been sick all your life, here, you're blessed. You've been blind all your life, have sight. I mean, he's just healing. And what kind of evil has to exist to want to cancel out someone who's doing that good in the world? I mean, who's doing something so, marvelous and just helpful in the world. What kind of evil has to exist to want to kick that out the world? So that's what he's saying. He's saying, I walked in this world not offending anybody, helping everyone, and they still want to kill me. Now, you'll live your life. You won't do even half the miracles like me, probably. And just because you follow or go by my name, people are gonna not like you too. Just right off the bat, oh, I just don't like that person. I don't know what it's about that person. I just don't like them. So Jesus is saying, don't worry if you are hated, because the world hated me first. If you belong to the world would love you as it loves its own people. And when we're saying the word world, the world, it's more of the systematic, the things in system, the way the world is run, the powers that be, for example, those who are actually in control of the world, who have an agenda for evil. And it's this underlying battle between good and evil that keeps riling up anger and problems in the world, so people can get busy with doing evil things and live this world out in the opposite of what God wants for our life. You look around and it's never peace. It's always some kind of problem. It's some kind of evil or worldly system, or somebody hasn't realized that, that's not the way that we're supposed to be or designed to live. All that stress can end up killing you. You should have, but life should be about love, peace, kindness, all those things Jesus is trying to teach us about. And everybody, if you walk around, unless somebody's just crazy or just an evil person in heart, if you walk around and ask anybody, what kind of world should this be? Do you agree that this should be a loving world, a peaceful world, caring, sharing, kind, building good things, sharing good things, all those, loving things? Everybody's going to say, yeah, it would be wonderful if this world was like that. Then ask them, well, what's preventing that? Is your world like that? And I'm sure many people will say, no, my world's not like that. It's because it's an evil force at work. So if the majority of humans can come together and agree this should be a world of love, but at the same time, we're not experiencing that love day to day, nobody's showing that kind of kindness out in the world, then where's the problem coming from? So there's powers that be. There's a worldly system that, even though you don't see it, it's operating to keep us all occupied with trying to just maintain. For example, in summary, just maintain. Sometimes just maintaining, you'll wake up in the day thinking, okay, I'm going to make this the best day ever. And all of a sudden, within the next few seconds, somebody's approaching you with a problem out of nowhere. And you have to think, well, what are these problems about? And usually it's a petty, it's irrelevant, it's about nothing. Just problems out of nowhere. So, obviously that comes from somewhere, and you have to realize that that's an underlying evil that's working somewhere to cause problems. Life shouldn't be about a stress every time you look around, a fight, a problem, or argument. People have a choice of what they want to let in themselves. And this room's getting darker, so let me turn the light. But people have a choice of what they want to let into their lives, and what they want to allow, what kind of life they want to live. And many people aren't taking notice of themselves that they are harboring evil inside, such an evil that causes conflict around, whether they are going about their day just trying to look for problems, yelling at people, starting problems. I mean, there's various ways to start an argument in the problem, and um, life shouldn't be like that. So Jesus is just saying, look out. I've gone through a stressful life, and so will you. But don't worry. I've chosen you to be different from those in the world. So you don't belong to the world, and that's why the world hates you. And he's just saying that, just hang in there. And there are going to be haters in your world and your life always. So don't act like that there won't. Don't think that just because you say, today I'm going to follow Jesus Christ, then everything's going to be hunky-dory and everybody's going to love you and, treat you with goodness and kindness. No. In fact, that incites evil to go triple time in your life and try to destroy you in various ways, whether by taking your time. There's 3 traits of evil that the Bible says, and it's true. You'll notice when something around you is evil, when it tries to steal from you, kill from you, or destroy you. Is something stealing your time, patience, your good mood? What's it stealing from you? Whatever is brought into your life that's taking that from you, your time, your patience, your good mood, whatever, that's something that's working the plans of evil. You have to identify that not everybody has good intentions for you, that some people are just designed to be, just to be an annoyance to you so that it can push you to destruction, push you to anger, push you to an ungodly behavior or things like that. So stealing was the first thing. Killing is the next thing. Look around. If someone's trying to kill you in various ways, whether it be with bad habits or just to stress you out, a number of ways people can try to kill you. And then the last thing is destroy. Who's trying to destroy your life, whether it be spread rumors, gossip, who's trying to tear down your life and ruin your, whether it be reputation or just your whole life in general, who's trying to do that? So whenever you see a problem, you're upsetting yourself. Look around and say, okay, somebody around me or something around me is trying to steal, kill, or destroy me. What is it? I'm going to address it. And if that person doesn't correct themselves or stop this kind of behavior, then I don't have to be around it. Because you can't go your whole life. God's all about peace. And no matter what, if you can't go your whole life in a stressed out situation, for me, if I see a situation that's stressing me out, I have no real desire to be there. And if it's a person that's stressing me out, they can never guarantee that I'll be there 100% because the first chance that I feel stressed out or they're doing things for no reason, then I see no reason to be around. I don't, either it's going to be a peace around me or I don't want it at all. So you have to make people come up to your level. But do you want to fight, argue all day, and not? If you do, you obviously don't want me around. Or do you want to have it peace where we're treating each other with decency and kindness and putting most of the petty stuff to the side? So sometimes you have to treat people like that because if you don't ever stand up or say anything, the disrespect, you would be surprised how many people have a desire just to bully and control you and run your whole life. And every episode of someone trying to run your life or control your life, you have to stand up for it and not really. And it's sad that either you have the strength to either put up with all this and stick around, or you're going to have the strength to just say, I can't put up with this. I got to move to a whole nother area. Because there are people out here who have a desire just to tear you down, just rip who you are out and just say, throw it on the ground and say, now you're under my power and control. But me personally, if someone tries to do that, I'm going to stand up for myself each and every time to make sure that's corrected. And if it happens too often, I will be gone. So, because you don't have a whole life to play with BS. Either it's going to be peace or not. Let the people choose. If they want to be unpeaceful, you can't be around. If they want to be peaceful, sure, I'll hang around. If there's a rarely an argument that comes up, then that's normal. But just for constantly back to back argue, that's pushing someone away. And they're telling you by their attitude that they don't have, they don't have the patience within themselves to treat you like a decent human being, or uh, put away their petty arguments for the peace and salvation of the relationship, or whatever kind of relationship, whether they be friend or whatever to you. You just got to make people come up to a better level, or you don't have to deal with it at all. You have two choices. I'm a strong person, so I give people chances. I'm forgiving, etc. But if it's day to day, back to back, constantly arguing problems, who wants to deal with that? If somebody makes you so upset, just don't be around them. That's the solution. That's always my solution. If I'm around somebody and they always have to argue or whatever, and it's day to day, back to back, what am I here for? By I wasn't birthed by anyone, but of course my parents and my God, and I don't have to be around somebody who just have a bad attitude all the time. So make people come up, address what people do, because sometimes you let people get away with stuff and they'll just treat you like anything, especially if you live with that person. People who you don't live with, I mean, that's easier to let slide. But if you live with somebody who's just a bully or a pester or somebody like that, I mean, you got to stand up for each time, because they try to take advantage of you. And if you don't, they'll take each part of you and rip it out, and you won't be yourself anymore. Instead, you'll be who they want you to be, pulling strings and doing what they want you to do. And they'll treat you any kind of way they want to, anytime they want. So that's what Jesus is talking about. People in this world will treat you bad. You would think people will want to treat people good if we all have the same mind frame that, yes, this should be a world where we're treating everybody good and we're loving. But we have that mind frame, but that's not what's happening. We're all treating each other any kind of way. We are out for ourselves a lot of the time, and we're not considering other people's feelings. And you just got to watch who you're around, because they can still kill and destroy your life, and try to leave you with nothing, just because they don't understand. They may or may not understand it in themselves what is working in them. All they know is when they see you or when they come around you, they just have an anger to you and they have to express it. They have to bully you or treat you bad or whatever. And they might not know, but that's an evil spirit working in you, because spirits identify spirit. Like if you walk up to somebody and you're with the latest fashion, and you say, "Oh, I know what kind of shirt. That's the new line in Gucci." You know what they have on, and you don't have to see a tag or anything. You've been in the mall and you've seen what Gucci's got laid out as far as the new fashion for this season, and you see somebody in it, you know what that is. That's the same way people can identify spirits. The spirit within you, it comes across people. And I'm sure you've done this by yourself. You walk up to someone and you realize, I have a bad vibe about this person, or oh, I can tell that's a good person. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But it's at the same time, you got this image from this other person without them saying a word at all. You know who, or you can tell a lot about this person just by the spirit that's coming off of them, what you're reading off of them. So that's what. And when a spirit is angry at another spirit, it causes you something inside, and it's usually some kind of feeling of jealousy or anger. You're like, oh, that person thinks they're all of that, and it starts forming hate inside of you for no reason, when you need to back from those thoughts. Every thought that comes in your head, in my head, like I told you, I've preached or taught to myself when I say these videos. But every thought that comes to your head, you should check it, because some things are coming through that aren't really 100% authentic, or what's the word? Some things are just put there so that to cause a problem. It's your spirit and action, an evil spirit and action in you. For example, you don't know somebody from nothing, and they just walk up to you, and your spirit's reading them, and they have some kind of godly presence in them. They're godly, and they have a good godly spirit in them, and your spirit isn't as developed in God yet. So all of a sudden, you get this jealousy feeling, and that develops into anger. So you start hating on the person, spreading rumors, trying to tear this person down just because you're feeling some kind of way about this person, and you can't put your finger on it. You just want to tear that person down just because all these feelings are rising up. When instead, when that thought came in your head where you said, oh, that person thinks they're all that, that's the first sign of your jealousy, where you comparing yourself to the next person and say, they think they're better than me or whatever. And no, it's your own weird thoughts. So as soon as that comes in your head, all you got to do is count that out and say, you know what? I don't even know this person. Who am I who I think I have the privilege or the right to look at this person and judge them and tell them they think they're all that. You don't know what kind of life that person's been through. Maybe they deserve to walk proud or whatever you see them in their, if you think they're arrogant, however you see them. You don't know what they've been through. Maybe they are how they are because of what they've been through, whatever. The whole point is not for you to sit there and judge especially without even knowing somebody. That's just turning yourself into a hater if you didn't know it or not. And in this world, you ask, do you want to be a hater? Nobody wants to be a hater, of course, but there are haters, and many of them who would claim, oh, I'm 100 about everything. No, you're a hater about everything. They both start with H, but they are different meanings. You're not 100, you're a hater. So check your moods, check why do I feel this way about this person or that person, because your spirit could be just undeveloped in God and it's going off of evil. Evil has come in there just to start conflict and problems, and it is giving you all these signals and signs to your mind where you're just causing conflict for no reason. And instead of doing godly things, you're doing evil things. Whether you go to church or whatever, or you think you're holy or whatever, you can still be someone who's working for evil and doing all these things against someone who has a godly spirit. So just realize that's what Jesus said. Whoever hates me also hates my Father. I did things among the people of this world that no one else has ever done. And if they had not seen me doing these things, then they wouldn't be guilty. Jesus saying, I came in the Father's name and I did all these miracles. Now, if somebody didn't see me doing the miracles, they wouldn't be guilty of sin because they didn't know me, they didn't see me, they didn't hear my word. But because you've heard my word, because you see me do miracles, all this other stuff, and you still don't believe, when truth is right in your face, then you will be judged guilty. So it goes on and on and on, and it ends with how Jesus says that when he dies and gives his life, he's going to send us the helper from the Father, and the helper is the Spirit of truth who comes from the Father. And the Spirit, like I said, there's a spirit that lives in you. You can have an evil spirit, a good spirit. A godly spirit is one that wants to do the things of God. You can know if you have the Spirit is if you want to hear His word, if you want to do things godly, if you want to transform your life to the image of Christ. That's a godly spirit. And Jesus calls it the Spirit of truth. And that's a good thing too, because the Spirit of truth, it's a spirit of truth, and it can help you see where lies are. Sometimes you know things and you have no clue of how you know them, but you reading God's word, sometimes God will show you things that, ordinarily or otherwise you wouldn't know at all. So that's something to mention too. And I think that's about the last thing to mention on that one. I'm going to move on to John 16. Now also, when I first started reading John, I said that there's 4 books in the New Testament that to start with that all tell the life of Jesus Christ. So I chose John. It's the last book. And I was thinking in my mind, that was the book that had the most information, but actually it's not. It's very short and summarized. So instead, what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to read Mark. I think that's the one. It's either, I'll look to see which one it is, either Mark or Luke. Tells more information. So I'll go back and read that so we can have 2 accounts of somebody telling the life of Jesus Christ after I finish John. So I'm going to first turn on the light, and then I'm going to go to John 16. So check it out. All right. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. That's all for this video. Please stay tuned to the next one for John 16. Goodbye.